Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Last week we actually took a look at this Tsunoda. This is part number 200, or sorry, PCL-200U, and it's actually in reference to the overall length of the tool. We reviewed this last week, and I rather liked it. So if you didn't get a chance to see it, I'm gonna leave a link in this video so you can go back and take a look at it. Because today's video is gonna be reminiscent of this, but with a different, and maybe it's the black sheep. I mean, this one is definitely a black coating on what looks to be very similar to this PLC-200U. And this one we're going to look at is actually model number PLC-200GUS. And again, the 200 here, the PLC-200 refers to the overall length, 200 millimeters. And what's unique about this design is, and we'll put them side by side here, guys, is they are almost identical in length, shape, but something's different about them. And as you turn them sideways, it becomes quite apparent what makes these two different. And that is actually the jaw thickness and profile. Right, these are straight with a taper on the end, and these carry that same design, right? Straight with that taper, but they are significantly less thick. And they actually, if you look here, they actually slowly taper down just a little bit thinner to the end. And I believe they mention here it goes down to, I believe it was 4 millimeters on the end here. So quite a bit thinner in the head. And you might ask yourself, well, why? What would be the advantage of a plier of this design? And I think many of us, and they even show a photo here of what is a good example, right? You got some casters here on, say, any sort of furniture, or even a toolbox. A lot of times that nut is very small, or sometimes it's even double nutted. And so what you want to be able to do is take your pliers and get inside there, grab onto that nut, and I don't have the best example here to show you, but say you got that nut here and you want to put this one above it, then you're able to get just enough space inside there, especially if this is a narrow nut. And I'll show you actually an example here on this smaller fastener here, right? So we got like a 10 millimeter, and you want to be able to grab that lower nut and either tighten it or loosen it while you also manage the outer one. And you're able to do that with these two pliers. Just grab the lower one and tighten it or loosen it as needed. And that's a big help because a lot of times, an end wrench can't quite fit inside that tight space to be able to remove that nut. Likewise, an end wrench, if this is fully tightened up against the toolbox or piece of furniture, you can't get it inside there to tighten it. So in come these pliers, the 200 GUS, and they also have a 45 degree, I think it's either 30 or 45 degree version of this as well. So if you need to have that slight offset, you could purchase it. And it's the same color as this black one. So you can find them. And these are found actually on Amazon, of all places. And pricing, you ask yourself, these ones, where'd they go here? These ones were about $17. These are just a little bit more expensive. They're about $20 currently at the time of this video. So a little bit more expensive, but they are a little bit more unique design for those special occasions where you need them. Obviously, you wouldn't want to pry on these much larger fasteners as often because, right, you don't have that much material there. But they are very useful. And I'm going to recap here real quick too, guys. So the benefit of these pliers is several items. What I really like is it's the 3-position slip joint pliers. So not very many are out there. Very common, and we've touched base on this in the last video, are these Snap-ons 47 ACFs. These 3 positions, which make it really convenient to find that right opening so you can get a really good grip, right, on a fastener. And you get pretty close, right? It's almost perfectly on the flats in that wide open spot, but it's not quite. And especially if you're dealing with smaller fasteners, you could really mess up the flats, but also the corners if you can't get a good grip on them. And ideally, if you've got a end wrench or a socket, that's going to be your best bet. But sometimes you're in a pinch and you need a tool to make it happen. Well, these snap-ons, right? They have the 3 positions, so it gives you a pretty good setup, although it's just a little bit off. So what's the advantage of the Tsunodas? Well, you have the ability to actually grip with this curvature here. And because of that curvature, you're able to find the perfect flats location on these pliers so that you're not rounding off the edges. And so that is a very, very nice attribute, especially if you're dealing with, right, one of these really difficult nuts or fasteners that you can't even get in there with a regular end wrench or socket. These are able to tighten it really tight and not destroy that fastener. And so once again, here's this setting. You could go to the mid-range setting with it. Find the flats location right about there. Boom. Again, that's so you have a fairly completely closed jaw, depending on what your comfort level is, or even how confined the space is. You get more options with this. And again, that's a patented technology that Tsunoda has, that jaw design that allows you to always grip on the flats. So that's a really good technology that they've developed, and they offer with these pliers. So between the two, I mean, for me, I like the idea of having one that I could use on an everyday occurrence, but also now I have the ability to use one on some really tight confined spaces where you can't get in there with a traditional wrench because the width doesn't allow it. So these are a nice handy tool. I've had the chance to play with them just a little bit, so I look forward to using these some more, just because of how unique they are. And again, they're very similar to these. I mean, they both have the 32 millimeter jaw opening, cuts wire just fine. Very similar to these other PLC-200Us. And even on the back, it mentions the hardness is going to be exactly the same, between 49 and 53 on the HRC scale. And weight comes in at 231 grams. So, and of course, this plier set is made in Japan. So I've actually been really impressed with this product line. Oh, I take it back. It is 2 millimeters at the very tip. So there you go. And here's once again an illustration of how difficult it is to grab onto fasteners with traditional slip joints versus this curvature. And the maximum cutting recommendation is 2.6 millimeters for both soft iron and annealed iron. So very, very nice pliers. I would highly recommend, if you're in the game or the market and you like the snap-ons, I think these are both really good pliers to go out and pick up, because pricing, let's be honest, is actually very attractive between the two. So anyways, guys, I wanted to share that with you. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you guys picked these up? Would you guys add these to your setup? And please, if this video has been helpful, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe. Otherwise, you will fall off and you will not see further videos. Apparently, the algorithm works that way. So anyways, thanks for chiming in, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll shoot another video here soon.